Sir, maybe please start now.
सर अच्छा सर आ गए हैं।
सर आप
Yeah, we can
शेयरिंग
start this.
आप शेयरिंग कर सकते हैं सर, आप
जी जी
शेयरिंग।
जी बिल्कुल। गुड मॉर्निंग सर।
Good morning. Good morning.
सर एक सेकंड सर, मैं शेयर कर देता हूँ, आप प्लीज़ थोड़ी सी देर बाद आपका सर स्टार्ट करते हैं। सर
Okay.
इंद्रजीत सर। जी सर। हेलो एवरीवन, आई एम डॉक्टर Mahesh Chand, assistant professor in mechanical engineering department. Today we have and the session coordinator of this session. And today we have Dr. Inderdeep Singh ji as a speaker in this session. He is the professor in the Department of the Mechanical and Industrial Engineering in IIT Roorkee, and he has a vast experience of 15 years in teaching as well as in research on the composite materials. He has more than 240 research papers in reputed international national journals and the conferences, and he is the reviewer of more than 25 reputed international and national journals also. And in the field of research, he has completed many research research projects with the National Foundation in Korea, Imprint, DST, Departments of Science and Technology, SERB, MSRD, and AICT sponsored. Uh, he is a outstanding researcher, and he has received the Outstanding Teaching Award in 2013 by Indian Institute of Roorkee on the celebration of Teachers Day. He has received the Foundation of Innovation and Technology Transfer Award for the best industry relevant PhD thesis for the year of 2004 and 5 by IIT Delhi, and he has held the first position in the class of mechanical engineering in 1998 in NIT Amirpur, REC. And beside of academics, he is also involving in the sports activities. He is the outstanding sportsman for the year of 2000 by the sports of activities in IIT Delhi. And he is also having the 2 gold medals. He received the 2 gold medals, 6 silver and 2 bronze medals at the Inter IIT Sports Meet in hockey and in the football. Uh, Thank you, sir. Now the mic is on your side. You please can start.
Thank you, Professor Mahesh, for a very detailed
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, doctor.
initiation. Yeah. So we have, as we can see, that there are around 17 participants who have joined. So I am happy. When the number is less, we assume that lesser the number, more is the interest among the participants related to the session. And I will share my screen once again.
Yes, sir.
So is my screen visible to all the participants?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So maybe my topic is not directly related to robotics or CNC machines, but it is indirectly related to CNC machines. So the topic, as you can see on your screen, because my session is so scheduled that many of you would be waiting for the lunch time. So I will not like to delay your lunch. I would like to complete whatever
Yes, sir. Screen
points.
is visible.
Yeah. So whatever points I have to make, I will try to make those points and leave the rest for you to decide that how you can work in these areas or what important points you can identify. So the topic of this program or FDP program is Advanced Manufacturing Technology with special focus on robotics and CNC machines. So one thing that I wish to share with all of you is the time. So in both in robotics and in CNC programs, part programming that we do, time is an important element, because all of us know, even if the robotics is being used for doing a particular task in any organization, the timing is very important. And we went to Korea for one conference, and then the organizers took us to some industries for visit. And one of the key industries was the automobile industry, in which the cars were being manufactured by a company called Renault Samsung. So in Renault Samsung, we saw that the robots are being used for the assembly work, and timing was so precise. Maybe the timing was precise to the extent of microseconds, I can say. That when the robotic arm is coming down with the door of the vehicle, the person is standing there ready to accept that door, detach that door from that arm, and then fix it to the vehicle. And every time, it was a completely moving assembly line, the cars were very slowly moving at the speed at which they have identified, or the speed which was identified or which was calculated for a good assembly line. So we were also surprised to see the precision with which the robots were working, the precisions with which the programs were coded. That, for example, a red car is being manufactured, so the person will receive the red door only. And after maybe the next car is white, so a white door will come, and maybe the next car may be off white, so the similar color door will come. So all that is possible because of the advancements that all of us notice in the field of manufacturing processes and automation. So my topic is slightly deviating from what is the exact application of CNC programming, but it is also a very important topic, because I will be able to show you that making of holes in composite materials is a big and a challenging task. And all around the world, we have seen that there are around 200 to 300 articles till now which have been published, which are focusing on drilling of holes in polymer based composites or fiber reinforced plastics. So I will try, because the two terms I have highlighted in different colors on the title. One is the knowledge base, which can be used as a background program which can help to control our machines. And the fiber reinforced plastic is a new class of engineering materials, which new I am saying, because new in terms of the last 50 years they are being in use. So they are not as old as metals, because metals are in use for maybe more than 150 or 200 years. Maybe I don't exactly remember that what is the history of metals, but at least for composites I know that they are being used since 1970 or 1960s, the synthetic fiber composites. So therefore we call them as the new materials. So there are issues and challenges with relation to these materials, and then these materials need to be processed using not the standard processes but the advanced processes, so that we are able to get good quality products or good quality materials. So we will I have broken down my complete discussion into maybe three smaller sessions of 20 minutes each. So the first session I will talk about the green colored topic on the screen, the green colored section of the topic, that is fiber reinforced plastics. Maybe in the next 20 minutes I will talk about the problems associated with making of holes in these special type of materials, and in the last 20 minutes, sorry, I will be talking about the knowledge base that we have tried to develop, which can help the engineers as well as the managers working in the industry in the appropriate selection of the parameters, which will help to minimize the damage that takes place in the holes, or how to select the parameters in order to ensure that the holes that we are making in these materials are of good quality. So I delivered the similar session, almost the same session in the previous version of this program, maybe on 17th of August. And the participants, as I have been told, by the organizers that the feedback was good. So therefore, this time also I decided I will keep the same topic, because this is an area in which lot of research efforts are being observed, are being noted, and different faculty members across the country, across the globe are working to realize the potential that these materials can offer. So we are also working in these materials. Maybe I joined as Professor Mahesh also told in the morning. Professor Sanjeev told that I did my PhD from IIT Delhi in 2004. So I joined Delhi in 1998 as a master's student, and my master thesis topic was also related to machining of glass fiber based composite materials in 1999. And then in 2000, when I joined for PhD, at that time my topic was drilling of holes in composite materials, and I worked on glass fiber based composite materials. Why I am going back into history? Because normally as a faculty member we are looking for topics which can help us to give good knowledge to our students. At the same time, students join us with lot of expectations that we will be publishing some good articles in good journals, as well as we will learn something new, plus we will carry forward that knowledge that we develop during our PhD or our master's program. So I did my PhD in the area of making of holes in composite materials, and I am happy to share that my PhD supervisor also did his PhD in making of holes in composite materials in 1992 from IIT Bombay. So you can see that this field is still relevant today. Also we are still seeing that there are people who are interested to work in this area. So why this field is still a new field or a green field? Because every now and then we see new type of materials are being developed, which are a composite in one way or the other. So when you have new material, you have new challenges. So the facts, figures, or the knowledge that we develop for one kind of material, one type of material. For example, I worked in the field of glass fiber based epoxy composite materials. So whatever knowledge I developed or I created during my PhD, those results are not relevant to suppose jute fiber based epoxy composites. So for jute fiber based composites, our conditions will be different, our methods will be different, our tools will be different. So therefore, once you have a new material, you will again have to go for rigorous experimentation and establishing the facts all over again. So therefore, still in India, I have seen, and even globally, I have observed that there are still people who are interested to work in this field of making of good quality holes in these fiber reinforced plastics. And over the last few years, we have seen that the focus has now shifted to environment friendly materials. So therefore, I have given deliberately green color to these materials, that is fiber reinforced plastics. I have given the color green. So why green? Because we want to make them environment friendly. So once you want to make them environment friendly, your raw materials will be coming from nature. And since your raw materials are coming from nature, their cutting mechanisms will be entirely different from the cutting mechanisms of synthetic fibers like carbon fiber or glass fiber. Therefore, all over again, we will have to do the whole study and try to establish that what is the best tool material for making holes in fiber reinforced plastics, what is the best conditions of cutting speed and feed rate, or the levels of cutting speed and feed that we must select for making of holes in fiber reinforced plastics. So first of all, I will try, as I told you, first 20 minutes I will focus on the materials, next 20 minutes on making of holes, and next 20 minutes on knowledge base, and the remaining time we can have Q&A if the time permits, because sometimes these 20 minutes may get extended to 25 or 30 minutes also. So let me now start. I have given the overview, and now we will try to see that what are the materials. Now this is a very common slide, and many of the faculty members may have used these materials, may have studied about these materials, must have taught about these materials to their students. So the composite materials, they form a material system which is composed of a mixture or a combination of two or more macro constituents. So the macro constituents are shown on your screen. This is fibers, these are fibers, and this is the polymer. So the macro constituents are the two here, and they differ in form and chemical composition. So as you can see, fibers are different in physical form as well as in chemical nature. Similarly, the polymer is also different in physical form. These are in pellets or spherical granules, and it is different in the chemical composition as compared to the fibers. So you have two or more macro constituents that differ in form and chemical composition, and they are insoluble in each other. So you have to combine them together. Therefore, a addition sign is shown here. So you have to bring these two together, two different macro constituents which are entirely different from each other in chemical form as well as in physical form, and then you are able to create a composite material. So these are the materials which we are going to see in future in India also, whereas very small countries like Taiwan and Vietnam are using lot of composite materials, and the Western countries are far ahead as per the applications of these materials, and we are also slowly gearing up and coming up with this. Recently we got one consultancy request from one government organization. They are trying to develop, use these materials for a particular application in the Lucknow airport. So therefore these materials slowly will percolate into our markets, and we will be seeing them all around us. Why? Because they are having additional benefits than the plastics that we normally use, because most of the products that we see around us are plastics. So these materials have the potential that they can replace the plastics, as well as they can be helpful in reducing the volume of plastics that we are using for various applications. So there can be numerous examples. For example, this mouse or a computer mouse that we are using, all of us use it, is a pure plastic part. So we can very easily integrate some fibers in this part, and this can be converted into a composite part. And similarly, you can see thousands of, or maybe hundreds of thousands of such mouses may be used by the people in our country. So if we are able to reduce maybe 50 grams from one mass or from one mouse, we can see and multiply it by the number of such products being used by the people all across the world. So therefore, we have different types of composite materials. Why I am emphasizing that these can be a replacement for our traditional plastic parts. So since I am going to just introduce this topic, I will not go into much detail, but the types of composite materials is important to mention, because we will be talking about the polymer matrix composites only, and we will not uh, go into the discussion related to the metal matrix composites and ceramic matrix composites. So polymer matrix composites, so this is a polymer as it is clear on your screen. You have fibers, so fibers are reinforcing the polymer, and you are getting a fiber reinforced plastic composite or fiber reinforced polymer composite. So since the polymer is the matrix, so we call them as polymer matrix. If the matrix in another case can be metal, you can take aluminum as the matrix, then it will become a metal matrix composite, because aluminum is your matrix. And if you take ceramic as the matrix, then it will become a ceramic matrix composite. So our talk is related to polymer matrix composite, and as I told you that there will be a reinforcement and a matrix. So matrix is of three types, that is polymer, metal, and ceramic. Reinforcement can also be of different types. The reinforcement can be continuous fibers, reinforcement can be short fibers. So very quickly we can see that for any composite material, we will have a matrix and a reinforcement. Matrix, since our focus is on polymer matrix only, so we have further bifurcated or classified the matrix as thermoset matrix and a thermoplastic matrix. So we can choose any one of these, and the reinforcement can be carbon, glass, and Kevlar. Now what is the problem here is that the composites that we make from here, they are going to be synthetic. So synthetic means artificial composites, because the polymer is also non biodegradable, or it is not environment friendly, and the fibers being used as reinforcement are also not environment friendly. So this is a big challenge, that how to convert these synthetic fiber reinforced composites into natural fiber reinforced composites that you see on your screen. So we are now trying to, at IIT Roorkee, trying to develop the natural fiber-based composite materials. So we can see we can either have partially green composites or we can have fully green composites. These materials like fully green composites will help you to get fully biodegradable materials. For example, there are already flower pots available. So the flower pot has a sapling of a flower plant. You take it home, you dig up it and put it there. This plastic body of the flower pot will automatically degrade into the soil. So that is the concept with which we are working. These materials are already available, but there is a still lot of uh, opportunity to work in this field to bring them into the structural domain also, that they can be used for structural applications. So therefore, we have fully green composites where natural fibers are used for biodegradable polymers, and we have partially green composites where you have natural fibers in non-biodegradable polymers. So the previous slide that I have shown, all these polymers that are mentioned here are non-biodegradable. So if you have non-biodegradable polymer and you use natural fiber as reinforcement, at least you are reducing some burden of plastic on the environment. So we call them as partially green. But if your polymer is also green, that is, it is a biopolymer and fibers are also natural, then you can develop a fully natural fiber based biopolymer composites which can be fully green. So this will further explain the concept. You can see you have synthetic fibers and non-biodegradable polymers. So you get, if you blend, since for every composite material there will be two things. One will be the polymer, other will be the fiber. So fibers are also synthetic like glass or carbon. Polymer is also a thermoset or a thermoplastic, but it is again synthetic. So if you combine the fiber and the polymer together, you will get non-biodegradable composite. But if you combine a natural fibers with biodegradable polymer, you can get fully biodegradable composites. So the trend is towards moving from non-biodegradable composites to biodegradable composites, but this may not be a very smooth transition. It can be slowly, step by step. So this was the old practice. Most of the aircraft parts that are made by composite materials use the synthetic fibers like glass and carbon, and they use biopolymers like epoxy or polyester or polyether ether ketone. So different types of polymers are used and different types of synthetic fibers are used, but the main challenge is the biodegradability or the decomposition or the waste disposal of these materials. But slowly now the trend is towards the fully green composites. So this is the research trend, and we at IIT Roorkee are also focusing our attention in this direction. So these are some of the machines that we have. Very quickly, I will share the information with you. Then we will jump on to the main topic, that is drilling. Already, I think I have spent around 18 to 20 minutes. So we can make the composite parts using the direct injection molding. These are the samples which you see on your screen. So this is a direct injection molding. All of you have studied injection molding process, may be knowing about this process used for making of plastic parts like the buckets and cups and different types of plastics. Most of the parts are made by injection molding. So very thin walled structures can be made using injection molding process. But what we are trying to do, this is used for plastics. So we can put directly the plastic raw material into the hopper and we can get the part, but we are not interested in that. We are interested in making composites. So we combine the fibers and the pellets together, and we put these fibers and pellets in this hopper, and we are able to inject the molten or the melt blend, and we are able to get samples like this. These are fiber reinforced, natural fiber reinforced polymer composites. Now we have also modified a process slightly. This is extrusion process. Extrusion also all of you know. So in extrusion, similarly as in direct injection molding, we are putting the fibers and the polymer pellets into the hopper. We are making a batch of this, putting it into the hopper, and then we are compounding the fibers and the pellets together and extruding. So in injection molding, directly sample is made, but here we extrude a long strand or a composite strand of 4 to 6 millimeter diameter, cool it and then pelletize it. Pelletizing means we cut it. So after cutting, we get the composite pellets like this. So once you get these composite pellets, these pellets can then be used as the raw material for injection molding machine. So this is injection molding. Therefore, the name of the process is extrusion injection molding. So first we extrude the composite pellets by compounding the fiber and the polymer, and then we injection mold the composite pellets into the specimen. So what kind of specimen? These are the specimens that we are able to make. So we have a mold in which directly we can make uh, uh, three types of samples in a single shot. So we have a tensile testing sample, we can make a flexural testing sample, and we can make an impact testing sample in one shot only. So in single go, we are able to get three samples. Now, why this is also related to CNC programming, and because here also there is a controller and there are codes in the injection molding machine that we have to program so that we are able to properly select the mold opening time, mold closing time. We have to see how much temperature we have to set, and the barrel is a long barrel, so that we have to establish a temperature gradient in this barrel. So at different sections we have to control the temperature, and we have to define a temperature profile through which these pellets will be melt blended once again into the composite specimen. So it is also related to control. The control procedures are again the numerical controls only. So extrusion process is more of a manual controlled process, the machine that we have, but injection molding is controlled through a controller. So, but finally we are able to get the specimens like this. And the third process I will explain here only, that instead of now pelletizing this all arrangement, we remove and we extrude directly this composite strand into one mold. So we collect this material in the mold and then take this mold to the compression molding machine and compress it to get the composite plate. So in extrusion injection molding, we extrude the pellets and we pelletize it and then use it as the raw material for injection molding machine. Whereas in compression molding, we collect this composite strand in a preheated mold, and then that mold is taken to the compression molding machine and we are able to compress it under the temperature and pressure. So quickly I'll take you to the next slide. This is the next slide. So you can see here there is no cooling arrangement, there is no pelletizer. So directly the material that is being extruded or the composite strand is being collected in a preheated mold, and this mold will be, sorry, this is extrusion. This will be taken to the compression molding machine here. This is the material being coming is which is coming out from the extruder, and then it is collected in the preheated mold. So this already has fibers and polymers. This is taken to the compression molding. We compress it under prescribed temperature and pressure, and finally we are able to get a composite plate like this. So you can see further, this is the mold. If you see schematically, this mold is directly transported to the compression molding, and here this material is compressed under pressure and temperature to get a composite plate like this. So now, till now, I think in the 20-25 minutes duration, I have been able to explain that how the composite materials can be made. So once the composite materials are made, they will be used for certain application. Now suppose this plate is made, this plate can be used for our electrical board also, which is made normally by wooden waste or wooden powder. So that kind of laminates or applications these materials can have, or this can act as a back support of the type of mementos. As you can see behind me, there are number of mementos which are using wood. So this material can easily replace the wood, and any colored printing or golden patch can always be pasted on these by cutting a slot. So therefore these materials are now going to be used for specific applications. But once you start using these materials for specific application, you require to cut them, you require to make holes in these materials so that they can be assembled properly. So that knowledge is still being developed, that how to make good quality holes in these composite materials, because it is not always easy to make holes in metals also, because there are many high strength temperature resistant metals in which cutting is a problem. For example, making of holes in titanium or Inconel, very high strength alloys are there in which making of holes is difficult. So there are different processes which can be used, like EDM or ECM can be applied. But here even the non-conventional processes sometimes fail because the temperature is controlled by the melting temperature of the plastic, and that is not very high. So we cannot directly use a unconventional method for making of holes in these materials, and therefore we have to judiciously select, judiciously work in this direction, that how to make good quality holes in these materials. Just a minute. So how to make good quality holes in these materials? So we can see now. So these are the problems of hole making in these materials. You can see that two applications are shown here, but first thing you would have noticed is a red circle, red ellipse, which shows 60% of the rejection, which means that when you try to make holes in composite material, 60% holes will be rejected. Why they will be rejected, that we will see in the subsequent slides. But what we are the challenges, or what are the questions that we need to find the answers to is, one of the answers is why machining is required, what are the important issues, why it is a challenge, what are the remedies proposed till now, what are the future directions to look for. So these are some of the questions to which we need to find the answers, and many of the answers may be found in the title of this course, that is use the robotics or the robotic arms for drilling holes in composite plates, or use the CNC programming and control the speed and the freight dynamically, so that you are able to produce a good quality hole in these composite materials. So I leave that for you to decide that how we can try to mitigate the effect of damage in these holes. But the first point is why machining is required, that I am trying to explain. So you can see here that you have an automotive door panel. So there are different holes that are required. Now what is this material actually? You can see canaf is a type of a natural fiber. We have not used it in our lab. I think just one student did some preliminary work on canaf fiber. But yes, canaf fiber is one of the natural fibers, and PP is polypropylene, which is one of the leading polymers which is used for various applications. Even in furniture industry, this is one of the most commonly used polymer. So you have a polymer which is a thermoplastic, and you are combining it with natural fiber to make this automotive door panel. But now this has to be connected to specifically to its position, and it has to be assembled together, and for that you require holes through which you will be able to do the fastening. So that fastening is a big challenge, and how to make that hole is even a bigger challenge. So therefore we have to understand that machining is very important, or drilling is very important in composite materials. And the right hand side is the tail section of an aircraft Boeing 777, and you see two different materials are joined together. As I told you, carbon fiber is used because it has very high strength in aircraft applications. So carbon fiber reinforced plastics, carbon fiber, CFRP means all of you may be knowing, but still if there is somebody in the audience who is not aware, I will again read. Carbon fiber reinforced plastic. So CFRP is being assembled to a titanium part. This yellow colored part is a titanium part. So you have to assemble them together. You can see here the holes have to be made. Now this hole making is very challenging, both in titanium as well as in carbon fiber reinforced plastic. So these are the challenges that you have to overcome, that how to make good quality holes in these parts. And mostly in aircraft industry, you may be using both the concepts of CNC programming and robotics for making these good quality holes. But that may add element of cost also to the making of holes. And if we want to bring these materials into our day-to-day life, then we will have to find out cost-effective, high-quality strategies which can help us to make these holes with minimum damage as well as leading to minimum rejection of the holes. So first question we have tried to answer here, that is why machining is required, and that I have been able to highlight maybe you will appreciate that for ensuring that for making complex composite parts or composite assemblies, we require holes in the composite parts. Now, what are the issues to be looked into? Why it is still a challenge? We will try to answer these questions in the subsequent slides. So I am now right now into the second portion of my talk. First portion was related to the composite materials, what are the different types, how they can be classified, why we are focusing on natural fiber based composite materials. So all in all, I have highlighted one of the topics, one of the segments of my topic, or one of the titles, one of the subtitles of composites. Second is hole making. Then we will go to finally the knowledge base. Now, making of holes in composite materials is a big challenge. Why? Because as you can see, the composite materials are anisotropic. Their properties are different in X, Y, and Z direction. Why? Because the fibers are running in one direction, they're running in another direction, and in the third direction, the Z direction, we have different layers of composite material. So normally in aircraft industry, laminated composites are used. Maybe to just have a break, I will show you. I have one sample here. You can see, so there are different layers which have been stacked together to make this composite, and if you see it closely, I will show the another one. You will be able to appreciate this is a composite material, and if I bring it closer to the camera, you will be able to see that there are fibers running in both the direction. Fibers are in longitudinal direction also, and fibers are in transverse direction also. So it is light in weight composite material. So you can appreciate the fibers running in both, and in the Z direction through the thickness, there are different layers of the composite. So you have different layers and you have fibers in both X and Y plane. So therefore, making of holes in these materials becomes a challenge because of the anisotropy. Second is the properties are different. In the very first slide in today's session, I told you that there are the macro constituents, that is the reinforcement and the polymer, both have chemical properties different from each other. Their physical properties are also different, their thermal properties are also different. So how they will behave under the application of temperature is also different. So therefore, the difference in the properties of the constituents is also a big challenge. Then the third big challenge is the highly abrasive nature of some fibers, because we are talking about fiber reinforced plastics or polymer matrix composites. So the reinforcement are the fibers. Now fibers can be glass fibers, carbon fibers, or they can be natural fibers. So natural fibers are not that abrasive in nature, but if you talk about the synthetic fibers like carbon and glass, especially the glass fiber is very abrasive in nature. So if you have a very abrasive fiber, the tool wear and optimum tool point geometry becomes a very important point, because if your fiber is very uh, sharp, it is abrasive, then it will lead to lot of tool wear, and in order to avoid the tool wear, we would like to design our tool in a way that the wear can be minimized. Otherwise, I have myself seen that especially in glass fiber based composite materials, when I was doing my PhD, you cannot make more than 8 to 10 holes with a fresh high speed steel drill. So you are using HSS drill for making of holes in glass fiber based epoxy composite materials. The drill will wear out very fast. Maybe 8 to 10 holes can only be made, and then the drill will wear out. So therefore, we have to look for additional tool point geometries, and people all across the world have tried different geometries, and there may be around a list of 15 to 20 tool point geometries which have been investigated for making good quality holes in composite materials. Then the stacking sequence is also a challenge, because I told you different layers are stacked one on top of the other to make a laminated composite. So you have 6 layers, 8 layers, 10 layers, and the selection of the material that will go into each layer is also to be decided. So it cannot be decided based on the drilling performance of that laminate, but it will be decided based on the requirement, structural requirement of the laminate, because laminate may be expected to behave differently when it is loaded in tensile condition. It may be expected to behave differently when it is loaded in compressive direction or under impact. So you have to select the layers accordingly, and that is taught by the professors who work in the field of designing with composite materials, that how to select an optimal stacking sequence depending upon the requirements of the application. But as a manufacturing engineer or as a faculty member who's involved in manufacturing or doing research related to the manufacturing field, machining induced damage is a good area for us to focus our efforts, because once the designer has given us a stacking sequence that this is going to be the composite material, then our responsibility is to ensure that that stacking sequence is manufactured initially in good quality using any of the processes which we have discussed today, or all the processes that we discussed today. Compression molding is the process which can be used for compressing the parts together, or the fiber layers one on top of the other, and then compressing them to make a composite laminate. Whereas injection molding and extrusion are normally used for short fiber based composite materials only. So once the designer provides us with the design of the composite material and the stacking sequence is known to us, then we have to first make the laminate, and then we have to make holes in it so that it can be assembled to any other metallic or a non-metallic part. And at that time we will encounter that there is a lot of damage that is happening. So now I am introducing the second point that we are going to talk about. First is the composite material, second is making of holes in composite material, and third is how we have tried to solve this problem using a knowledge based approach. So the other two parts I will skip because they are not that important. First is decision to use a coolant or not, because here you will not experience lot of temperature rise, as well as you will not use a coolant for flushing out the chips. So normally we have to decide whether to use a coolant or not, because polymer is also a form of a chemical only, and the coolant will also have some chemicals, so there may be a chance of reaction between the two. And similarly, there are health hazards also associated. When I told you that once you are making a hole in glass fiber based composite materials, the dust may fly after the cutting action, because the chips that are produced are normally very powdered form, so that there are chances of inhaling that, so that is kind of a health hazard. All these are the challenges which we have to see and we have to address. Similarly, if we are talking about a CNC machine, we have a cover board or a door which will close, and then the action will take place. So automatically it will take care of the health hazards. So now none of the dust will fly, so the worker will be safe, especially in case of CNC machines. So these are further the challenges as the summary of what we have already done. So this is mentioned in red color: rapid tool wear, drilling induced damage. I will show you the meaning of delamination. I will explain the next slide. Then fiber pulled out, matrix burning, all these are types of damage that you encounter around the hole. Then heat build-up due to the low thermal conductivity of composite constituent, but the heat is not up to the level that you may require a cutting fluid or a coolant. Difficult to attain the dimensional accuracy because of the fiber pull-out and sometimes chipping of the matrix, which is brittle in nature. That can also lead to attaining a very high dimensional accuracy in the holes that are produced. And the surface finish of the whole wall is also sometimes a challenge, because the fibers are protruding out from the whole wall and we are not able to get a good quality hole. So this is the very important, whatever I have been speaking, this is a very important slide to explain that. You can see here that, as I told you, composite materials are normally made in the layer by layer form, stacked up one on top of the other. I have already shown you a laminate like this. I will bring it close to the camera. You can see that there are 4 layers in this. May not be clearly visible, but this is the width, this is the thickness, and this is the total length of this sample. So you have different layers in this, which are depicted on the screen. These are the layers. So once the drill tends to enter this, the top layers tend to peel up because of the drilling force action. So peeling up action, when the drill is trying to enter into the plate, the top layers tend to open up. That is called the peeling up type of delamination. Now why delamination word is coming? Because we have laminated different layers together. One layer, second layer, third layer, fourth layer, fifth layer, sixth layer. So we have stacked up the layers. So we have taken suppose 6 layers and we have laminated them to make a laminate. There's 6 layers. So once you try to make a hole, the top layers may tend to open up. So that is called the peel up type of delamination. But the major challenge is the push down type of delamination, when the drill tends to exit from the laminate. The bottom layers try to open up under the thrust force that is exerted by the drill on the laminate. So therefore, once this delamination takes place, bottom layers tend to peel down or push down. Push down, delamination is reported. 60% of the holes are rejected. So you can see this is first form of damage, second form of damage, and third form of damage is you can see fibers being pulled out from the polymer, and then there is damage that is propagating in this direction all around the hole. So this we normally call as a circularity defect. So we want to make a hole like this white circle, but you see all around the hole there is a lot of damage that has taken place. This is the actual hole in in a fiber reinforced polymer composite. So this is already published in 2009. So we can see that different forms of damage are taking place, and we have to avoid them. Now, how our robotics, how our CNC machines can help us in this, that we will try to see. Now, let me see. This is the setup that we have developed at IIT Roorkee. One of the points that I have told you is that we can optimize the drill point geometry. So we have a complete state-of-the-art setup with a CNC machine, with a drilling attachment, and then we have the laminate. The red color is the composite plate that we fix on the work holding fixture, and then we try to make a hole in this laminate and we record the forces. So we have a 4-component piezoelectric drill dynamometer, which is one of the best in the world, which is made by Kistler. So we have a drill dynamometer, we record the forces and we plot the forces like this. So this is the thrust force signal recorded on a time scale. So on x-axis you have time, on y-axis you have a thrust force, and then we try to correlate the various stages of the drilling cycle with the action of the drill or the interaction of the drill with the laminate. So we have a drill and this is a laminate. So how the drill is interacting with the laminate, we try to correlate it with like the different stages of this cycle. Like this is the stage A, when the drill comes in contact with the workpiece, and from A to B, the inner portion of the primary cutting edges are moving in, so the force is increasing. So similarly, we try to relate each and every stage of the drilling action with the force. Now some of you may be wondering how it is related to the topic of CNC machines. Now this is related to the topic because if we go to the previous slide, I have shown that this push down type of delamination is particularly severe. So in normal drilling machines, what we do, in normal drilling machines, we fix the feed rate, maybe 0.03 millimeter per revolution, or we fix 1 millimeter per revolution, which is very high. So if you have a very high feed rate or a very low feed rate, it is going to affect the drilling performance in the laminate. If the feed rate is very high, it will be kind of an impact and the thrust force will be high, and if the thrust force is high, the bottom layers will open up and they will cause the push down type of delamination, and 60% of the holes will be rejected. If you go very slowly and the feed rate is extremely slow, your productivity will be less. You will take maybe an hour to make a hole, so nobody would like to spend that much of time for making a hole. Similarly, when the tool will be in contact with the hole for a long period of time during the hole making operation, the heat buildup will be high. And when the heat buildup will be high, why the heat buildup will be high? Because the fibers may be poor conductor of heat and the polymers are known to be poor conductors of heat. So the heat will be built up in the machining zone, which will not be dissipated properly. And if we are making a hole in 35 to 40 minutes time, matrix burning may take place. That is, the polymer may start to make some fumes or some gases may start to be emitted from the polymer, and it may get decolored, the polymer may get burned, it may get damaged. So therefore a very low feed rate is also a challenge, and very high feed rate is a big challenge. So therefore the CNC machine will be very helpful for us, that we can control this feed rate during using the CNC machine. So the dynamic feed rate control will be very helpful. Similarly, There are papers available which you can read where people have tried to use the adaptive feedback control mechanism for controlling the feed rate. So what they are trying to do, our system that we have developed, the knowledge base that I will be coming to, is also one step in that direction. So there are analytical thrust force models through which the thrust force can be calculated. Not only the thrust force, the critical thrust force can be calculated, which will lead to this type of delamination. Now that critical thrust force models are available, they are developed by Ho Chang, Chen. There are a number of critical thrust force models for making holes in composite plate. So in your programmer, in your controller, you can feed this model, and based on this model continuously the feed rate will be calculated, or it will be the not the feed rate, sorry, I am wrong. The thrust force will be recorded through the through the setup that I have told, that continuously the dynamometer will keep on recording the thrust force and the torque, and in the controller this thrust force will be compared continuously with the critical thrust force, and we can fix a limit that the thrust force recorded during the making of hole in the composite material must not exceed 20% lower value than the critical thrust force. Now suppose the critical thrust force is 100 newtons. I am just making a guesswork. Critical thrust force is 100 newtons, as we have calculated using any of the critical thrust force model. It is already inbuilt in our controller. Now continuously when we are making a hole, the thrust force is being recorded, and suppose the thrust force is recorded is 78. No problem, the process will continue. But as soon as the thrust force reaches 80, we have pre-programmed it that automatically a feedback signal will be sent to the by the controller to the feed control mechanism in the device or in the machine, and the feed rate will automatically be reduced. So it will be a critical feed, it will be a closed loop feedback system in which your thrust force generated is controlled against the critical thrust force, and as soon as it's going to reach to the 20% level of that, below 20% level of that, automatically a signal is generated and the feed rate is adjusted automatically. So that is the kind of equipment and machines which are being developed, because if you are able to dynamically control the feed rate, that initially the feed rate can be slightly higher, but as soon as the drill is reaching towards the lowermost laminae or lowermost plies or lowermost layers of the composite material, in that case the feed rate is adjusted, feed rate is reduced. Why? Because of the feedback control mechanism. So if that kind of mechanism we are using, automatically we will be able to mitigate or reduce the damage that is being recorded or that is being found or observed around the hole. And one of the damaged hole you can see here, this is a damaged hole. Actual hole would have been somewhere here, but this is a non-destructive dye penetrant testing image of a hole with fluorescent dye, so which glows under the ultraviolet light. This technique, when I was working at IIT Delhi, we tried different methods of quantifying this damage area, but finally this was the best method that we were able to develop. So we took images of the holes made with different speed rate, different speeds, different feed rates, different drill point geometries, different hole diameters, and different conditions holes were made, and then each and every hole was tested using the non-destructive dye penetrant testing under the ultraviolet lamp. The images were taken, the digital images, and I am talking about maybe 20 years back in 2000, 2001 or 2. We were working in this field, and then the digital images of the holes were used to quantify the damage around the hole. So we were able to read these images in digital imaging softwares, and then we were able to segregate this hole that is available, the damaged area around the hole was segregated from the actual hole, and we were able to quantify. And that was a good contribution in the field of research, because prior to that most of the researchers not only in India but globally were trying to analyze the holes just by visual inspection only. So their assessment of the damage around the hole was more or less qualitative, but we were able to develop a very simple process with which was far more accurate as compared to the qualitative assessment in terms of visual examination. So it was appreciated also, and we were able to publish that work also. So what I am trying to say, summarize here is that now we need to have some kind of a control mechanism that we are able to reduce the damaging effect of the drilling action on this composite material. So I think two new areas I have introduced to many of you, that is the concept of composite materials, that is known to almost all, I assume, but I introduced the concept of natural fiber based composite materials which are environment friendly. And second is a problem which anybody can take as a master's or a PhD project about reducing the damage in the holes, specifically in case of natural fiber based composite materials. So this is what I have already explained, that how our CNC coding can help us, or a part programming can help us to reduce the effect of drilling induced damage by developing a proper feedback control mechanism. Now coming to the third part, I am already delayed by around 15-20 minutes as per my plan, but okay, I will cover this third part, that is the last part of my talk. First part was related to materials, second part was related to making of holes in material, third part is the part that I am going to discuss now. So the major issue, as I have already told you, is machining induced damage, and worldwide people are still trying to address this problem. Now the different approaches that people have tried, as I told you, some of the approaches already we have discussed here. Optimization of the operating variables, that you control your cutting speed and feed rate to minimize the damage. Select the tool geometry accordingly. If I go back and show you, this is not the regular, this is not the regular drill, twist drill that we normally teach to our students. It is a step drill which performs the drilling in two stages. The primary cutting edge makes a pilot hole, and then the secondary cutting edges enlarge that hole to get the desired size of the hole. So therefore, again I'll go here, that what are the approaches what people are trying. They are trying to optimize the cutting speed and feed rate, they are trying to optimize the tool geometry, and this theoretical modeling is being done. That the modeling I told you, critical thrust force models are being developed, which can be used as a reference to control the feed rate and speed during the cutting action using the CNC machines. That facility is not available with our conventional machines, because in conventional machines, once you set the feed rate, all through the drilling cycle the feed rate will be constant. But in a CNC machine you can program your uh, cycle in a way that initially the feed rate is different, and towards the end of the drilling cycle the feed rate is different. We can have a variable feed rate throughout the drilling section, the drilling cycle. So this is, again I have told you, different drills we have used, parabolic point and four facet, but how to avoid damage already I explained. So what is the need of a knowledge base? Now research efforts are there, but as I told you, their efforts are such that somebody has selected a specific fiber, a specific polymer. For example, a polyester, the researcher has selected as the polymer, and glass fibers as the reinforcement. So he uses any process, maybe he may use hand layer process to make the composite plates, and then make holes in those plates, record the forces and explain the trends of the forces, optimize the drill point geometry, and publish a good paper in a good journal. So that information is available through the journal, but that information is specific to that experimental domain which was followed by that researcher. The fiber was limited to glass fiber, the polymer was limited to polyester, the cutting speed and feed was also in a specific domain, the tool point geometry was also limited, it was one or two only. So therefore the same results that that researcher established cannot be directly applied to any other material. Suppose I keep the glass fibers the same, but I change the polymer from polyester to epoxy, all results will change. So the efforts that have been reported are segregated. You have different pieces of information available. So efforts are largely distributed, but they are successful. So many times the researchers spend a lot of time looking, suppose somebody starts to work in this field, he will spend a lot of time reading about all this literature and then compiling the information. So what we have tried to do, that we tried to create a knowledge base. So knowledge base was not only based on, some of you may be wondering that then this becomes a case of a digital library. So this was not a digital library, there was a decision making power also in this knowledge base, and we have used soft computing techniques like neural network and fuzzy logic to predict the values based on the information which is already available. So the digital library is any platform. For example, if you use Science Direct, we find the keywords and we will be able to get the related material. But here we will be able to get the related material if the directly whatever input we are giving, exact paper is available, it will give us the exact output that this paper has already done this work under this domain. You can use this pieces of data directly. But if suppose the material is not available, then based on the soft computing technique or predictive modeling, it will suggest you that okay, for this material you can use these conditions for making holes, and this will be the delamination factor, this will be the thrust force. All that will be computed based on the knowledge that has been input, that has been given as a training to this knowledge base. So the efforts are largely distributed. The researchers may often spend a lot of time for searching the related literature. So this huge data is of little value until there is a common platform to provide the relevant information. So with this objective, we developed a knowledge base. So the knowledge base, as I have already told you, to develop a knowledge base to help engineers and scientists with their specific queries related to feed rate, cutting speed. For example, as maybe many of you may ask a question towards the end of my session, that how to select the feed rate and cutting speed. So if you put a specific value of feed rate and cutting speed as per your machine, or the levels available or the settings available on your machine, this platform or knowledge base will be able to predict that what will be the forces generated if you are able to correctly specify the material. So you specify the material and you give your tentative feed rate and cutting speed, it will be able to give you that this will be the forces and this will be the delamination factor. So if the delamination factor is very high, you can then try to control the feed rate, reduce the feed rate, try to do the iteration. Maybe in 3 or 4 iterations you will be able to get the delamination factor within the limits, as well as the forces also within the limit. And if your query or your information is matching directly with one of the research papers that is already available and is one of the important findings of or one of the important uh, piece of information in the knowledge base, automatically the reference for that detailed study the system will be able to show. I will show you 2 or 3 case studies in which what is the input and what is the output from the knowledge base. So the basic idea behind this knowledge base is to provide a ready reference for the users, that they can directly use their knowledge or information that they have, and system will help them, or the knowledge base will help them to take a good decision or a judicious decision or a right decision related to the optimal selection of the operating variables. So it will save a lot of time for the workers, but the main emphasis of this tool is it must be precise, it must be able to give you as correct information as possible, it must be accurate, specific, it must not take, maybe you input your information now, you are getting the output after 2 hours. So that is not, nobody is going to wait for 2 hours. Therefore, it must be immediately able to predict the values, and maybe equipped with latest information available. So it must be open source, that as and when new articles are being published, new and new information is being generated, it is updated in this software. So this is these objectives we developed. Knowledge base, it was developed few years back, and now now the research scholar who developed this is working as a director in one of the institutes. So he used the C++ as a coding tool, and all the information was available in the form of data sheets, and these data sheets were integrated in the program, and then it was able to do the predictive modeling of the drilling of composite materials. So quickly, in many cases, the second point is important because in many cases, in the research papers, you will get a graph, x and y graph. In x-axis is suppose feed rate and y-axis is thrust force. So they have not specifically given the values. So in that case, we used Corel Draw, which is a imaging software, and then we were able to extract the values of the thrust force related to the feed rates which are given on the x-axis. So in relation to the feed rate, what is the thrust force value, we were able to extract from these figures which were given in the different journals, and we were able to use them and integrate them into the knowledge base. Now this is the how the knowledge base works. This is I think the last part of my talk today, how it will work, and the 2 or 3 case studies I will be able to share with you how this knowledge base works. But before going to that, how it is useful, it can be integrated with the controller of the machine where the person is going to give the various settings. So before giving the settings in the controller, he can just try the iteration and try to find out what are the best settings in the controller itself, and then once he finds out, locates the best setting, then he can put the same values for controlling the process or uh, for undertaking the process. For example, feed rate, he can just see what will be the optimal feed rate based on this database, see the cutting speed which is optimal for minimum damage, and then use those values in the program. And this will be a kind of a feedback for the writing the program, that you get your information from this tool and then use that information for writing your program. So how do you do that? In step 1, it will ask the user whether the process that he wants to undertake is conventional or non-conventional. So we have some papers already available on non-conventional machining also. Then it provides options for drilling with special conditions, like drilling with the exit backup plate under cryogenic conditions or vibration drilling. So it will ask you that you want to do a normal drilling or you want to put another plate, because normally I must show here, this is one plate. So normally to avoid the damage, another plate is fixed below like this, and then a hole is built. Then the lower layers here will not get an opportunity to move down. So you are already controlling it by putting another plate down here like this. So that is the exit plate or the backup plate on the exit side, exit backup plate. So the software will ask you whether you want to do conventional or you want to put a exit backup plate also. So all this information once, then the material, it will ask what is the material, what is the type of fiber, what is the matrix material, what is the tool you want to use. As I told you, there are 18 to 20 types of drill point geometries which are already investigated. And then it will, since now the software knows everything, software knows which material you want to make, which process you want to use, which tool point geometry you want to use for making a hole. So obviously then it will display the relevant information or the reference. If there is a direct paper available, it will be able to give you the direct output, that this is the direct research article which has already done drilling experiments on these materials, and this is the right geometry that you must use. So we are not here giving the links of the papers, because that is also kind of an infringement, that we cannot provide direct link of the paper. So we are only giving the detail of the paper, that this is the author, this is the paper, this is the volume number, this is, so this information is available in this paper. So if the institute or the college or the industry has the access, they can directly download that paper, or if they don't have the access, they can buy that paper. So we are not providing the paper, but we are providing the just information, that this information is available in this paper. Now this is just one case study, output of the knowledge base. Now in case 1, the authors or the person, the engineer, they selected conventional drilling. Now in conventional drilling, all this information will be the output of the knowledge base. So in case of non-conventional drilling, this will be the output of the knowledge base. Laser drilling, this will be the output. Water jet drilling, I think I am running out of time, so quickly I will take, this is the overview, how it will work. First question, drilling of fiber reinforced plastic. First question, there is a very beautiful graphic user interface. First you enter, the first it will be flashing is drilling of fiber reinforced plastic. First question it will ask is whether conventional drilling or non-conventional drilling. With conventional drilling, it will ask without special conditions or with special conditions. If with special conditions, it will ask you further any of these. If none of these, then you go to without special condition. And then you select the drill point geometry. It will drop, it is a drop down menu. In drop down menu, click on the drill point geometry, you will get all these drills, because research articles are available for all these drills. So you select the drill point geometry, then you select the material, and then you select the polymer and the fiber, and then it will generate the output. So I will just quickly show you the input. And this is now the sum of the results of the knowledge base. The user specified input to this graphic user interface is the process is conventional. Special conditions, he did not specify any special condition. The tool point geometry the author suggested or the user suggested was saw drill, which is a special type of drill. It was carbon fiber was selected and epoxy polymer. So you see, this is the input which the user specified, that I want to use carbon fiber, I want to use epoxy matrix, I want to use the saw drill for making the hole. There is no special condition. It is a general hole making operation, drilling operation, and process is conventional. So once this input is given by the user, the software will automatically, or the knowledge base will automatically be able to generate that if you use a saw drill, the theoretical critical thrust force, because I told you there are critical thrust force models available, it will be 38.8 Newton. Experimental critical thrust force is 28.6 Newton. Critical feed rate is 5.1. So obviously this is giving him a direct hint that the feed rate that he is going to specify should not be more than 5.1 into 10 to the power minus 3 millimeter per revolution. And if he wants to control the critical thrust force, he must also find out the right combination of the cutting speed also, because speed and feed, if you are able to control properly, your thrust force will always be less than this. So you can keep on trying now, putting the values of feed rates less than this, cutting speed also he can try to optimize using iteration, and then try to see the thrust force. So if the thrust force predicted is less than suppose 28.5 or 28.6, then he can say, okay, now I will make a hole, because I know that what should be the feed rate, what should be the cutting speed. Drill point geometry is already known, and if further information is required, he can refer to this article through which this information has been extracted. So this way, this software tool will be able to help to us to select the parameters accordingly or judiciously, so that the damage can be minimized. This is another case on your screen. There is no special condition. Conventional drilling, tool point geometry selected is the general twist drill that we normally use. Fiber is carbon fiber, matrix is epoxy. So it is giving you even the ply thickness or the layer thickness or the laminate thickness also. 5 mm or 9 mm critical thrust force values are given, and critical feed rate is also given. So once you specify this, instead of reading the hundreds of research articles to match your conditions, this is going to give you a direct output of the conditions along with the information related to the paper, so that you can directly jump onto the right paper and try to find out that what is the relevant condition. So this is more important for people working in this field or researchers involved, as well as for industry, that they can minimize their efforts in locating the right information which can help them to make damage-free holes in composite materials. Now this is just one last case that I am taking. This is non-conventional machining. The author wants to do water jet cutting with carbon fiber and epoxy. So the knowledge base is generating this output that the layer thickness should not be more than 0.1 millimeter. Theoretical critical water pressure is given. Theoretical critical water jet pressure should not be more than this. And experimental critical water jet pressure is also given. The journal where this work has been published is also given. So future aspects can be that it can be further upgraded. Information is being developed every day. Every other day there is a new paper, new piece of information, new set of information. This can be completely, as the last line says, we are incorporating more data from research papers and conferences. So therefore, such type of tools can be useful when we are going to write our programs, and these can be used as a input for our programs for selecting the right kind of conditions which will help us to avoid the damaging effects that the forces or the drilling action may have on the composite materials. I think so. With this, I will stop. This is a summary. This I will skip. And maybe that's all from my side. Maybe we can have questions if I'm able to answer some of those. So I will stop sharing my screen now. Or I will keep the screen on. Maybe somebody wants to go back to some slide.
Participants, if you have any doubt, then you can ask. Dear participants, if you have any doubt, then you can ask. Sir, I think it's okay.
I think
I think
either the participants have understood everything or they have not understood anything.
no, actually,
So
sir,
both.
participants are satisfied. I think 100%. That's why
No problem. So maybe
they are not asking.
this is a good area. Maybe even if you look
Sir,
at the
session. I have gone through your lecture many times, and I am also attending your MOOC courses, and you have done excellent job for us, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you. These nice words always help us, motivates us to even do further. We are also learners. So every day I
And I
learn.
have learned a lot. I have learned a lot from you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for the kind words.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Uh, thank you very much, sir, for giving the valuable insights about making the holes in fiber reinforced plastics, and hope this session will be beneficial for all of the participants and they have learned more through this session. And if they have some doubts or they want to increase their knowledge in this field, then they can contact you through your email ID or any other sources. Thank you, sir.
Just
Thank you
I
very
want
much,
to,
sir. Ji,
sir,
sir.
Professor Mahesh, I just want to ask Dr. Vratraj Joshi has written something, I think, in Gujarati.
Ji, sir. Ji, sir. Ji, sir.
So I want to ask you, if you don't mind, what is the meaning? I am not able to read it properly.
Sir, I am also not able to read it properly. Only the Vritraj Joshi ji can explain what he
Yeah,
want to say.
I'm asking him only. I know
Ji,
you will
ji.
not.
Ji, sir.
Joshi ji is there. Dr. Vratraj Joshi.
Joshi ji, point number 67. Joshi ji, are you here? Sir, I think he is not available here.
Okay, no problem. I am writing down my email ID. If someone wants to drop an email, I will be happy to share the information.
Ji, sir, definitely. Thank you, sir. I think the email ID has been reached to all the participants.
I have written two email
Yes,
IDs.
sir.
One is inderdeep.singh@me.iitr.ac.in. Another one is dr.inderdeep@gmail.com. And Piyush Jha has asked one question: peel up and push out delamination, why the bottom layer will be affected? Because of the thrust force that is being generated by the drill, the bottom layers will try to open up because see, when the drilling action is starting, you have a thickness of 4 to 6 millimeter to withstand that thrust force. But when the drill is at the fag end of the drilling action, only maybe 1 millimeter, half a millimeter layer thickness is under that force or under that thrust force. So then at that point of time, these bottom layers have the tendency to open up and cause a push down type of delamination. So therefore feed rate and thrust force have been identified as the two major culprits which lead to push down type of delamination. And that is a biggest challenge, and till today there are people who are trying worldwide to reduce this effect of push down type of delamination and coming up with holes which are good in quality. So that is the concept, that why the bottom layers open up because of the thrust force. So therefore I told you, if you are using CNC programming, you program the drilling cycle in a way that in the first part you have maybe considerably higher thrust force, higher feed rate, but once you are towards the end of the hole, at that case you can try to reduce the feed rate below the critical feed rate so that the thrust force is reduced and your push down delamination is avoided. So the current CNC machines can help us to achieve those kind of drilling cycles, and people are using these now globally. Okay. Yeah, in case of an inclined hole also, once you are making an inclined hole, because your laminate is one layer on top of the another layer, even if you go suppose inclined, if you go inclined like this also, again it will be at the lower layers will have the tendency to open up. Maybe the type of damage around the hole may change, but then you may still find some kind of delamination even in case of a inclined hole also. That we have not investigated. This is a good idea, we can try that, but I foresee with my experience in this field that still there will be some damage that will be there. Some of the once I was delivering a similar lecture, there was a good intelligent person in the audience. All of you are equally intelligent, but the idea sometimes come to a particular person. He said, sir, when you are telling that in the plate, once you are trying to make a hole like this and the damage is towards the exit side, so why do you want to make the complete hole in one cycle? You make half the hole first, then take out the drill and then make it reverse and then do the half hole from the other side. So with today's CNC machines that are available and without the problem of concentricity or cylindricity, you can try that. But when the question was asked 20 years back in Hotel Leela, I was delivering a talk in Bombay. I was also a PhD student at that time. So that question was asked to me. I was surprised. Yeah, this is a good idea. You should go and use this idea. At that time also in IIT Delhi, we had a CNC machine where we had written a program. I tried, but then there were some issues related to making a through hole with complete cylindricity. Maybe out of roundness was observed. But still, this can be one of the good ideas which could have come to any one of you. And there is a joke also related to this, because when the Eurotunnel was being created, one company said that we will be able to make the tunnel in the shortest possible time because we will start from both sides and we will meet at the center. So we will take less time. Somebody asked them, what if you don't meet at the center? Then they said, that is none of your problems. You will have 2 Eurotunnels then. So that is the problem with going from both sides and then making the hole. So maybe that can be one of the ideas which can be tried with the latest technology available today. So yes, Professor Jha, you can try that. It is a good option. And then do let me know that how do you find, what are your results and how have you experienced the method. Okay, PPT, okay, I will share the PPT with the organizers. So, okay, then I think we can close Professor Mahesh now.
Ji, sir, we can close now, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, all of you. Thank you. Wishing you all the best.
महेश सर, हेलो।
हाँ विमेश जी बोलिए।
हेलो।
हाँ हेलो, हाँ जी विमेश जी बोलिए।
सर मैं ये पूछ रहा था, अभी ये कुछ शायद अटेंडेंस का था इधर, मैसेज में मैं देख रहा था, अभी कुछ है क्या ऐसा लिंक?
नहीं, कोई नहीं। आप लोगों का जो व्हाट्सएप जो ग्रुप है ना, अगर आप लोगों को कोई प्रॉब्लम आ रही है अटेंडेंस में किसी चीज में, तो आप व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप पे आप एक बार डाल दीजिए। तो
एक्सक्यूज मी सर, सर मैं अभी मीटिंग आप लीव कर जाइए, ये 5 मिनट और एक्सटेंड हो जाएगी और मैं अटेंडेंस लिंक सर यहाँ पे अभी शेयर कर रहा हूँ। प्लीज गिव मी 2 मिनट्स।
ठीक है।
Okay,
Okay.
sure, sir.
So I request all participants to please be connected for next 2 to 3 minutes for the attendance session.
What? मंजू मैकेनिकल में मंजू is not there.
Okay, thank you, sir. You can may exit now, sir.
Sir, where would that link?